All right, we are live on YouTube and Facebook, and now we are live on Instagram. Hello, my name is Esteban Nina. I am your producer for Liquidation Motivation Live. I wanted to go over a couple of things, housekeeping things, before I introduce Tom, your host of Liquidation Motivation Live. And the first thing I want to say is that we are headed to Vegas, baby. We are headed to Vegas August 25th to the 27th to the ASD Market Week. I'm going to share a commercial of it. It's just only 2 minutes, I promise.
This is my first year at ASD, and I absolutely love it. We found some great deals that we couldn't find anywhere else. We had listed vendors, and we saw them and then some. I especially love the educational portion at Main Hub. That was really good info.
I get higher margin on the goods that I buy here from that big brand that I buy for our surf stores. I can't find the particular products that I'm looking for at any other show, only at this show.
I originally wanted to start an impulse program for my thrift stores. I wanted some seasonal products like Halloween and Christmas. I was looking for fill-in categories. I found all of it. It is crucial to our business.
The first day was absolutely insane. We could not sit down to save our lives. Second day was also great, and now a really big sale of somebody clearing us out.
We got
so
absolutely cleared out. Completely paid for our booth and all of our travel expenses. We signed up retailers and distributors on the spot here.
We come to ASD because this is the best show to meet with our customers that come from all over the world and show them our latest stuff. You're missing out if you're not here, for sure.
ASD is crucial to our business because it helps us to see what we need and where we can diversify ourselves into other markets. We were able to get some pricing that really helped us to see how we could scale up.
I met my mark. I had a number in my head that I wanted to meet, and I've exceeded it. I can tell you this, I would be back in a second. If you're starting a business or you have a business established, you want to be a distributor, this is the place to be. There's no question about it.
The show's a must come to see for any retail buyer in the country.
All right. Did you see Tom? He was in there. There's a
We love
quick
it.
clip of him in there somewhere. Next time, screenshot it, send it to us so you can see. Let us know that you saw Tom on that clip. All right. Wanted to go over a couple other things. One is our sourcing guide. Please, if you are new to the liquidation industry and you want a list of the places that Tom recommends to start looking for inventory, download the sourcing guide at liquidationmotivation.com. The other thing that I want you to know is that I build systems for anyone in the liquidation space. And these systems allow you to collect leads and communicate with your customers. But first, go to sdcam.com and get your free website, and then I'll build that system with this free website. Without further ado, here is Tom Schultz. There he is. Let's see. Boom. Hello, Tom.
What's happening, Esteban? I love your hat, man. I love your hat. I love you repping the brand, baby.
Hell yeah.
I should be as bald as I'm getting. I should be wearing a hat all the time too, you know. So
you should shave like me, Tom. Shave.
Is that my next move? I don't know. From my vantage point, it looks like I got a bunch of hair, but I don't know. But when I look at a camera from up above, it looks horrible. Hey, but I'm super excited about ASD this year. Yeah. I mean, we have a huge announcement. Not only are we going to be part of the platform, we're going to be in Vegas. Everybody, listen, if you're a liquidator, you got to go to Vegas. You're, can I say an idiot? Can I say that to people?
No, you can say you're a dumbass.
You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass for not going to the show, meeting new people, getting new contacts, figuring out, how to make more money in this industry. And there's only a few places that everybody gets together, and ASD is one of them, guys. And ASD is one of them. You're going to be able to meet me, all the big top. You're going to meet Esteban, all the big guys in the industry. The people that are on our list are all going to be there. They're all going to be there. Why? Because they know the value of the trade show. And we haven't publicly announced this yet, but we are going to be doing a meetup. It's semi-official, but I think it's going to happen, and it's going to be on the 26th. So first of all, let me recommend on the 25th is the Top Golf meetup that they do every year with a whole bunch of big guys. That's August 25th, but on the 26th, we're going to be doing a meetup with one of the largest, I don't even know what to call it, one of the largest companies in the world.
I think so. Most popular, at least.
The most popular company in the world. We're going to be the Liquidation Motivation and this other company, which we'll announce soon. We'll be doing a meetup on the 26th, like no other meetups ever been done. So we're excited about that. That means everybody has to go to Vegas and see us. So, it's going to be. I think we're going to finalize it this week, and then we'll be officially publicly talking about it. So. And I'm talking about going all out, baby, all out. I'm excited.
I can't wait for that. I really can't.
Yeah.
My wife is going to be here. I was going to go to ASD this time, so I'm looking forward to sharing, the experience that we go through and letting her know how much work we put into networking.
But yeah, the downside is like when I first took my wife to Vegas. Before my wife went to Vegas, she's like, all you guys do is party the whole time. And then she gets there and realizes how much work we have to do and how much just networking it is. And they're like, this is no fun. I thought we were going to go visit the Grand Canyon or, I'm like, no, we don't do any of that stuff. All we do is work and network and talk to people and try to make more money, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's what Vegas is all about. You got to put in the work when you're there. A lot of new people go to Vegas and then they do that tourist stuff, but then they miss out on things like these meetups. And these meetups are so important. I mean, when you're at the show, every booth has 25 people at it. And you don't get to talk to the right people. You get to do that at the meetups because everybody's there for one reason. It's called a meetup for a reason. And that's to talk to everybody else in the industry, man. So you got to go to these meetups. It's just as important as the show.
I agree.
So,
yeah.
All right,
So,
you ready to get rolling today?
I am. I'm ready.
All right.
We are going to introduce Joedy Martell to the stage.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hello.
Joedy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. Just chilling.
Can you hear Esteban yet?
Yeah, I can hear Esteban, yeah.
Oh, good.
Good.
All right. So, Joedy, you're up in Illinois, right? But it's been a hot summer this year, right?
It's been hot. It's been rainy. And then I guess we just turned into like the tornado alley of the Midwest. It's been really weird on the weather. More hail than I've seen. Every year kind of, you kind of know that summer, but this year it's kind of been a lot more damage, a lot of trees down and all that. So something to get used to, but yeah, I'm not really happy about the being the Midwest tornado alley now. So
yeah, I just got back from vacation in upstate New York, and I mean it was fine. The weather was pretty mediocre, but man, it rained like 70% of the time I was there, man. And I'm like, I got to get back to Florida. I mean, don't get me wrong, it rains this time of year every day here, but only for like 10 minutes, and then it's all better.
Yeah,
just to cool things down. But man, welcome to the show, Joedy. Thank you for coming on Liquidation Motivation Live. Let's get into it.
Yeah, what's cool about this introduction, I mean, this meetup right now is that the two of you don't really know each other. And so you really guys gonna get to know each other on this podcast. So that's gonna be very interesting for me.
All right. So Joedy, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, and we did bump into each other at WHSL before, just very, very slightly, me and my wife when we were down there. So that was kind of the meetup that I remember. So yeah. But so I'm Joedy Martell. I actually kind of have a long story with the liquidation industry, and basically I started really small, got really big, and now I'm back to not really being small, but being on more of the back end of the liquidation. So I do have a lot of expertise, and I have had a lot of solid wins, but I've also had a lot of solid loses. So yeah. I live in Illinois, and I'm married. I got a couple kids. My daughter's down in Alabama. My son, he's up here by me, and he works for Amazon. So he actually did work for me for a little bit. Yeah. So, but yeah.
Is there any perks that you get for him working at Amazon? I mean, can you get some loads that none of us else can get?
No, none of that.
Yeah.
He's just he's sorting. So.
Yeah, I got a buddy that's a plant manager, and I talk to him all the time. And he, a distribution facility manager, he can't get me nothing. He can't even tell me where to go. It's so funny. It's so funny. All right, Joedy. So let's get back before. What was your life before liquidation? What'd you do pre-liquidation? Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so I actually I have a long history in corporate, right? So 16 years with a very large communications company, and I basically carried every hat except for like director, area president, all that. I was pretty well known in the company. A lot of stuff that I did during my 16 years made a huge impact on operations. So that's kind of like where when I went into liquidations, it was a perfect hit, because when I left the communication company, I was actually running inventory out of a store, and so that kind of gave me the handoff from going corporate to going to being self-employed.
How did you get introduced to the world of liquidation?
Well, kind of long story short, COVID happened, right? A lot of COVID time where people got into the industry. I actually quit my job 2 weeks before the first lockdown, right? So what happened was I didn't like the job I was in. It wasn't with the communication company. It was like a sublet of them. And I decided I was done with the same old everywhere I went. It was the same story. So I decided to be self-employed. What I did was I quit, and then I started selling out of my garage, vintage stuff. So, I mean, I carry a lot of, the same interests that you do with like what you're trying to build down there with the museum, a lot of the vintage stuff. So picture going out garbage picking, right? And they had cleanups around here where everybody would throw their stuff away. Well, back in the day, in 2020, people were purging because of, COVID. And I mean, I was finding boxes of Star Wars figures from the 70s. I was finding He-Mans. I was finding G.I. Joes, tubs of them. And it really gave me a jump start with free inventory, kind of, listing on eBay and all that stuff. So that's kind of like where it's always been my passion to do the vintage stuff. So when I quit, I actually just rolled right into that with eBay.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I just absolutely love that stuff. I love collectibles, sports cards, the whole movement. I can't get enough of it, and hence why I'm building the museum. So, yeah, I mean, I think that I would do that full time if it made enough money, and I'm sure there's ways to scale that, but it's there's just transitioning into liquidation. There's just a lot more money to be made and had in liquidation. When you set up your sales channels, your networks, your loads, your contracts, it just seems to be a lot more fruitful. But my passion and my heart is definitely with the collectibles market.
Yeah, the liquidation industry, it gives you easy access to inventory if you know what you're doing. What I found with the vintage, it was far and few between, right? So you wouldn't have, you would make better margins, way better margins, especially on free. But you never really had that solid flow of inventory that came in to keep you at your highest levels of maximizing all your sales that you got. So I always found myself getting into spells where all the good stuff got sold. Then I'm a little bit dry spell between, and that's what really where the liquidation industry it kind of just connected that dot for me.
Okay, so you're selling vintage in your garage, and then what's the first move you ever did in the liquidation business?
So I had the same problem that everybody else has. I had the death piles, and then when they got listed, I ran out of room. My garage was like a 2.5 car garage. I had it all set up. I had all my stations. I had my listing area. I got to a point where all my shelves were full, and I'm like, okay, well, 3 months into it, so 3 months into it came, and I'm like, I need to rent some space, like I need some square foot to, run an operation. So I went from my garage to 940 square feet. And what was nice about the spot that I found, it was all inclusive. So all my garbage was included, all my electric was included. I had only one number I hit every month, and that's what helped me scale, because I basically just went in and I knew every month this is what I had to come up with. And basically from there, it just turned into, I bought my first pallet, then it turned into my first 6 pallets, and then sooner than later I was turned into truckloads, and then it just went bonkers like that. So it was crazy. It just hit. And this was back in 2020 when inventory was clean, right? The COVID inventory was pretty much all new stuff. Everybody would just buy it, and then by the time it got shipped out, they would say, I don't want it anymore. They would return it. I would get loads of just brand new, clean merchandise, which is just totally unheard of now.
Right. So you're predominantly at this time selling on eBay?
It was eBay, and then basically I started figuring out how to get customers, to know that I have liquidation, the bigger stuff, because obviously I started with the smaller stuff, and then I started getting into home improvement, and that's really what took off. Is people were in their houses during COVID, they want to do rehabs. I would start advertising on Marketplace. Next thing you know, I have people just lined up to come and look at my stuff and make purchases, and then just turn a little idea into something that's actually moving. And then I started scaling up, and it was a fun ride when I first started, until I got into the retail side of it.
yeah. Everybody, that transition definitely adds a whole nother. I mean, why don't you talk about why did the retail side make everything a lot more difficult?
So I was, when I first started, I was more of just building everything and building processes and taking everything that I knew about, my inventory knowledge and just kind of doing that. But when I started getting to a point, I started scaling like really hard. Like I was jumping into some truckloads that were giving me crazy returns. And I don't know if remember the Signature Hardware when it first came out. I was one of the ones that got one of the early ones, under 10%, actually sub 6. And that really took off for me. And I said, hey, you know what, there's my trajectory is going way too crazy right now. I ended up leaving my warehouse at 13,000 square feet. I built up to 13,000 square feet. When I decided to make the jump, there was a old Best Buy that was open, 31,000 square feet, and I was able to get into that. So that's what I did. I closed down, and I went to change over my model from appointment only to open to the public, and it was an animal. I can tell you that right now. Everything that I knew about retail did not apply to being an owner of a business. You have way more things to worry about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you make some videos?
Yeah, so I did. When I found out that we were going to lose our space, I did do deals and disasters just to let people know, like there's another side of this business, and that was because here's the thing. When I found out that I was leaving, there was actually 2 scares that we had. The second one was a year long that I was in limbo. So I decided to start documenting it just in case something happened, just so people would know, hey, this is what happens when you're closing down. I actually didn't film any videos at the very end because I was so busy on getting that store empty. And, I'll go more into that later in the show, but there's a huge story behind me sitting here and how I got here. And I really appreciate, I'm able to tell a little bit to, maybe warn a little bit out there of people that the industry isn't really what everybody's saying it is. It can be winner. You can be a winner, but there's also the downside of it, which I'm actually experiencing right now. And that's why the software came out. So, but I don't want to jump ahead or anything.
Yeah. It's funny because I watched those videos. I like those videos. And even when you came on to, I'm like, how do I know this guy? I know this guy from somewhere,
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. I mean, obviously we do a lot of YouTube, we do a lot of content, and I think it definitely puts your brand out there in front of so many people, and I think it's a must do for anybody in the industry. But a lot of people don't want to follow my lead. You know, I'm about to retire, so I need somebody to take over the reins here. You know. All right, so you move into Best Buy, 31,000 square feet. So am I to assume that you had a temporary lease?
It was a permanent lease with the caveat if somebody came in bigger than me that would pay more of market rent, they would be able to take it over, and I would leave without problem, which we did. So we actually had 2 scares, and then the second scare actually came true, and so basically when I went into that location, I knew at any point they can pull the plug on me, and that was always a scary thought. Especially when we were at one point, we were rocking pretty hard. I mean, everything, all the ducks were lining up in a row perfectly. The inventory was good. I mean, we had furniture, we had appliances, we had, clothing. I mean, we had a lot of different varieties. We had the home improvement, the vanities, the cabinets. We were really a one-stop shop, and it just never hit that second level that we needed to be at. We always hit where we just bare minimum we can, a couple months we did pretty well, but there was a lot of months where it was very rocky, and a lot of that was the overhead. A lot of that was all the employees that you had to have on board. A lot of the things didn't get dialed in that should have been, and I have a lot of stories behind it. I just don't know where to start with it, but it's an animal. It's a complete animal.
Yeah. So, let me explain to anybody who's watching that so I use the temporary lease option as much as I can. So if you think of like a Spirit Halloween concept, right? They go in and they rent these stores for a huge discount, and they're only in there temporarily. I've always thought that a bin store or a liquidation store could use the same concept, but the downside to it is that they can kick you out when a bigger tenant or a national tenant kicks you out. We have the world's largest bin store in Lakeland, Florida, and we just got booted out of our space. So, the good thing is we just found another space in the same mall, similar price, that's even bigger. Now we're going to 110,000 square feet. So, there's definitely a downside. We operated there for 9 months when they gave us, I think a gym is coming in and replacing us. So once again, I like temporary spaces, but I build my bin stores so I can pick them up and move them out real fast and move to the next temporary space. And that saves us a lot of money on real estate. But the downside is if you have a very fruitful business, one day you're going to get that phone call and say, hey, you got 30 days. You got 30 days to get out of there. And that happened to me. Unfortunately, I got a new space. So that's great.
Very similar story. Fitness came into ours too.
Oh yeah, and 31,000 is probably the right size for a fitness center. Ours was 80,000, and I'm thinking nobody's going to come in here. 86,000, like nobody's going to come in here and spend millions and millions. But you know what? Somebody did. So yeah. All right. So you open up and you're not doing any bin stores. You're doing a strictly liquidation store.
The liquidation discount store came in the beginning. The bin part of it came towards the end when we were trying to restart up. But yeah, so we basically I for some reason I got my name on the list for one of the home improvement stores, and basically it all lined up at the right time. I got the call, said, hey, here's your account. I even got terms, and basically that I know a lot of people say don't borrow, but when you need to fill a store, we started with 21 truckloads, right? And that was all the inventory that I built up and up until then. When we moved in, at one point we had up to 55, 60 truckloads on hand of inventory, and that's not cheap. So that was kind of like part of it, keeping it full, keeping it relevant. And my biggest thing was, if you look back at the videos, you'll see how my store was laid out. A lot of things that I came up with. It was a very simple layout, but no one else was doing it like I was doing it. Everybody had their gondolas. Everybody had the stores just jam packed with inventory, and my store was big enough where I could spread it all out, give everybody a really easy shopping experience. And then the biggest thing was I can look at any time in the store, either side of the store, and I can see what's going on. So if somebody's crowding up at one side, I would know that, hey, that inventory over there we need more of that. I mean, obviously you got your reports and all that, but I always had the in-person watch of my business at all times with that layout.
All right, so you open your liquidation store. Tell me about the journey of your first scare. Tell me what happened there.
The first scare was when I saw the labor cost, 18 employees, and when I saw the overhead needed to keep the doors open. I mean, you're talking $100K a year or $100K a month is your number that you have to hit to keep the doors open. That was a very first scare because that was something I had to maintain every month. There was no, oh well, next month, it doesn't have to be that high, but that was the number. So that was probably the first scare.
Yeah. So how did you handle that?
I mean, I basically just I basically made sure that my inventory was always stocked up. I watched what was the heavy hitters, the vanities. I was well known for vanities, bathroom vanities, cabinets, the shower systems, the appliances. Basically, when we got the floor model couches, I can't really tell the brand, but I'm pretty sure you know what it is. That was an ASD find. I actually got introduced to that vendor, and that really helped out with painting a good picture of what we offered by offering that as well.
Right. So, okay, so you just brought in better inventory, and so did you cut your staff, or did you have to just try to raise sales?
I didn't cut my staff. I actually had as much staff as I could handle mentally, and that was another once that reality came in on how everybody needs to be trained and coached differently. But yeah, so the employee management was huge, and at that point, it was just me. My wife didn't actually come on until later on when she left her job to come on. So it was really just me, and it was a couple people that I knew that can rely on. My son was working for me at that time. So, but yeah, there was a lot going on with when I first started with kind of just getting all that dialed in, and some would say at one point maybe I didn't get it dialed in. That's why we're not in business. But I don't really agree with that. I think there was a perfect storm forming when everything kind of settled with the COVID inventory and all the price increases and all these people coming into the industry with auction houses and all that. So
yeah, for sure. So can you tell me about the time that they were telling you that you had to move out? And then that changed, right? How did that go? What were the facts there?
So the first scare that we had, it interrupted my operations definitely, because then the morale changes with me, saying, oh, I got to go. The unknown comes, like, am I going to be able to get all this stuff gone? And then that just went away the first time. So I think we had like 3 months of a scare, then it fell through. Then it went from to the next year that we had the scare, and then actually that scare lasted a whole year basically until it really took place. So when that type of thing happens, you have to kind of say to yourself, all right, well, do I keep bringing inventory in? I got to still hit this number, right? Do I change anything up? Do I start changing my model? Do I just jet out of here and just find another place? A lot of variables came in, a lot of questionable, things that I did. A lot of people would say, you probably shouldn't have done that, but there's no game plan. There's no rule book. You're making it up as you go. And most of the time I was flying at the seat of my pants, which is kind of dangerous running a business of that operation. And a lot of people, when they were coming in, they're like, you're nuts for doing this. I heard that a lot.
Yeah. So, but I mean, this business really is about opportunities, right? And just in time opportunities, right? It's not like you can predict, what the inventory you're going to get next week. So it's crazy. So then that one lasted over a year. So you guys stayed there over a year, and then you did have to move out.
Yeah. So what happened with that is we found out in June of last year, and then what happened was they said, all right, December 31st is when they're going to take over. So you have up until
Oh,
December 31st.
So
But
they
what
gave you a
happened?
long time.
Yeah, 6 months. Yeah. So, and then she said, basically what happened was I gave up my contract with one of the club's stores. We had actually 2 local stores, and when I did that, that basically put the nail in the coffin because there was no regular inventory being picked up every week. We had the home improvement stuff, but we had to really watch because at that time, towards the end, at that 6 month to go, I didn't have that many employees because a lot of people dropped off because college kids go back to school. People find different opportunities, and basically instead of when those people drop off, I never really backfilled because by that time, I figured out a way to kind of make the processes faster, and we don't need as many employees at this time, and so I just never backfilled. So, but yeah, it was a scary thing when they first told us because then you have, at that time I thought I had 6 months, so I had to start staging my exit, right? And then what happened was on the 31st, or actually the 30th, she came to me and said, "Don't take your sign down. We got a little problem here, and you're going to be here a little bit longer." And at that point, that's when we kind of shut down completely. We shut down in December, so till January. Then we reopened because I said I'm hemorrhaging too much money. The bills are still due. So yeah, kind of a crazy story actually. So, but yeah, that brings us up until then I started deciding going into back to closing down a couple days a week because we know that we're leaving, right? We're just waiting for that final signature to happen on that new lease from the new people taking over, and that just took forever. It took a year. So
Wow, so you stayed there a whole year from the time you were told you had to be out. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. So when did you transition into doing bins?
So that came when we first started back up. We basically said, we need to keep the model where we don't know when this call is going to come. We need to be able to pick up and go at any time. So we can't fill the store back up, right? So when we shut down, we actually liquidated everything by Black Friday. We found out, in June. Then I said, I'm going to wait till the very end to give me a little bit of time before then because I didn't want people walking in as a customer and taking advantage of the situation. So I saved my liquidation until like the last week, until Black Friday. It was really crazy that I pinpointed that time frame that I was going to be able to liquidate my whole store, and we gradually got rid of stuff. But then at that point, that's when it kind of got crazy with letting stuff go and really clearing out the store. And we didn't clear out everything, but we did clear out a lot. And then so when we liquidated for Black Friday, that was it. Close the doors. We're kind of in limbo from December till mid-January. Then I started back up, and then that's kind of like when I started getting into the bins because I knew that we had to pick up and leave at some point. And we still needed money coming in, and basically I changed my whole business model from that switch, and a lot of people were not happy with, they walk in, there's no vanities, there's no furniture, there's no, this or that, and they were kind of getting, I might have lost some customers, but we still had a strong following. A lot of people were just like, wow, what a whirlwind you guys are in right now. So I hope you pull through it. And we would see them every week, and we would give them new stuff, and then so that's kind of like where the bins came in because that inventory was easier to get, in my opinion, but I paid a little bit more for it than I should, but whatever. So
how did the bins work for you? How did the bins work for you compared to being a liquidation store?
Well, obviously the margins weren't there that we were getting before. The sales that we were generating it took a lot more to hit that number, and it was really weird because our average sale actually it stayed about the same. Believe it or not, we were selling so much volume transactions. My system that I had down, it allowed me, the way that I had my register set up, it let me have a full line of people with carts full, and basically the inventory that I was providing was giving them different stuff to a certain point. I mean, sometime we did get stagnant inventory towards the end because I wasn't buying, but I still mixed it up, and basically I mixed it up with the little stuff instead of mixing up with the big stuff, and it was just more volume. So
yeah, so let me ask you a question. if you could still have the lease, would you continue the bin store?
I think if I still had the lease, what I would have done was gone back to the bigger ticket items to supplement hitting that daily number. Offered the bin stuff to give the variety and the smaller stuff, because a lot of people, there was a lot of different types of customers that I was able to get. I was able to get the ones that wanted the big stuff and save the money, but then there was also the people that wanted the little stuff in quantity and variety. So like, you know, I had a lot of clothing because from our club store we had tons of clothing. We had when we did the Amazon stuff, we did Target, we did storage and organization, we did lighting from the home improvement store, and basically just giving everybody that walked in the store something that a different thing, you know, to get, you know, kind of solve multiple needs. And I think if I went back, I would try to give a little bit of both, because I do feel that having heavy hitters gives you your bump and gives you to your next level. And because we took that away, we were generating sales, but it wasn't anything near when we had the big ticket items.
Right. So if you were to, so I think you just alluded to this, but if we're going to do it all over again, how would you reopen your store, or would you not open another store?
I think I would not open another store just because of the it takes a lot of your life away with the mental, the every day you got to hit a number, you know, the questionable things that are going on in the industry right now with different things that I'm seeing. Honestly, I feel that people that are small resellers up to people that have large operations, as long as you can dial it in, you could succeed. But for me, I've already kind of been there, done that. Not to say I wouldn't do it again, not to say I wouldn't manage a location for somebody else if they asked me. You know, time would tell with that. I just personally feel that in this general area that I live in, the market is a madman. It's a very, very weird market to deal with, and the people that I feel that are succeeding are kind of on the outskirts of maybe general population. They build a brand for themselves. Out here, I tried different ways of building a brand. Don't get me wrong, the sales were there, and it could have got better with better inventory, but just the market that I'm in right now, I don't think that it's understood what the 100% value of a discount store can do for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So are you saying there's too much competition in your area? Is that?
I mean, honestly, I'll give you a little bit of an example. So you got your customers that walk in, you know, they want champagne taste on a beer budget, right? They walk in, you're priced to get them in the door. That price is not good enough for them. You're basically losing margin to win their trust and to get the sale. To me, I felt like that was more of what my store was turning into. And I don't feel that was right, because I put all the risk out there, all the work. I you know, my inventory was good inventory, and we offered a lot of value, and it kind of bothered me at the very end seeing the fact that we just needed people to you know, come in and just not do that part of it. And we probably could have done a lot better with our margins when I wasn't trying to you know, close a sale on giving them what they basically walked in the store and they were calling the shots, in my opinion. So
right. And I'm assuming you're talking about people negotiating prices. And
yeah, it was never good enough, and you would sell something half retail on a vanity, and that wasn't good enough at some point. But then there's other people in different markets that are killing it. I see other stores that are opening up in different states, different demographics. You know, I'm pretty sure that they have the same pain point as I do, but I know that there is a discount warehouse not too far from me, within an hour. Every day he's open. He's open shorter hours. He's killing it. And the thing is, he's offering the variety in a way that I was trying to build up my store. I wasn't trying to copy him, but I was basically in my area. You know, obviously the market is an hour away, so I shouldn't be taking his customers, he shouldn't be taking my customers. It's more of a compliment. You know what I'm saying? I would offer something he wouldn't offer, but I just never saw that it got to that level where I was getting that, I mean, we had our busy days, don't get me wrong, but when I tried to take my store and close it down multiple times a week to create more urgency, it didn't really do much. It was a really weird thing that happened. And I kind of wish I would have documented it more. I mean, I did allude to it a little bit in my videos, but there was a lot towards the end that probably should have been put out there just to warn people, if this happens, this is what you should try doing to combat that. Because I feel that my when I finally left the building, it was a clean, even though there's a lot of stress behind it, but it was a clean move. It was a clean move out. I mean, the second I decided I was going to empty that store, it was July 12th, and I got out by the July 26th. I actually got the whole store empty in that short period of time. So,
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Sweet spot. We always talk about the sweet spot here. Do you regret going from your 13,000 square foot warehouse to opening retail?
Absolutely. My rent was it was not as bad as other people would think that it was, because of the utilities were included. The only downside about my warehouse space, it was part of a huge building, an old, like 140 plus year old warehouse that made sewing machines. So basically my spaces were all split up. So every time towards the end, we would call it, we're going to take a customer on a field trip, and within this building, we would walk them from each room, and I had 4 different rooms. And what I didn't like about that was it wasn't open to the public. The owner would not give me my own private door into one of my spaces that was right to the parking lot. So I felt that if I had door swing, that would resolve my issue where I was getting capped out. My margins were better there. My overhead was a lot lower. The atmosphere was making it impossible for me to scale up, just because I couldn't get any more space. And 13,000 square feet sounds like a lot, but when you're split up into different rooms or areas, it's kind of a pain in the butt keeping everything organized and knowing what you got when you got to kind of walk around. And I actually had a scooter that would ride around inside the warehouse and go from point A to point B. So yeah, I mean, it was fun times, but yeah, I regret that a little bit. Yeah, because I feel like if I would have just stayed there and just stayed at that level and just kept on building, because when I was there, a lot of my money got reinvested. When I went to the retail side of it, it seemed like every month I was just pulling teeth just to keep it going, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we call it the sweet spot. Like everybody gets to a sweet spot, they make money, they start banking money, and then their theory is, all right, now I need to get bigger. I need to get bigger and better and take it to the next level. But the truth is, when you're at that point where you're making good money, just stay there. And I made a few mistakes in my life about the sweet spot too. But the problem is you don't know that you're in it until you leave it, right? And then your life, like going from your warehouse to retail, you didn't realize making that move would make your life a lot more difficult. And I made moves that I made a lot less money, getting a lot bigger. And, and I regret those times, but it happens, right? Because we all want to grow. It's like human nature. It's our instinct to just grow, right? Just grow and be bigger. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Joedy, what, go ahead.
No, I think that's a really good takeaway. And a lot of people don't understand, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The second you start questioning what you're doing that's right is where you start making the wrong decisions. And obviously with liquidation, like I said, there's no rule book, there's no gameplay. You got to figure it out as you go. And when I made that jump, I didn't really know right away, because we actually had a really good start, good start with like the employees, everybody, the morale was good. The customers were steady. The inventory was flowing. We didn't really know until we started seeing, about maybe 6 months in, we kind of seen, okay, well, where's that next jump up? Where is it? And I was kind of looking at the inventory, and I'm like, well, how do we get better inventory when these, I brought over a lot of good inventory, and you started seeing the industry change, right? So, and you don't know about that, right? So the unknown was there when I did the retail, and then all of a sudden we start having the problem with sourcing. We have the problem with more people coming in at the top, taking all the inventory that's for, that we thought that was ours, not really think that's ours, but like, that we had access to it. And, that starts snowballing, and you can't really tell because it was actually, I don't know if you remember like that whole process. It was kind of like a slow burn from 2020 to like 2024. It was kind of a slow burn where it started just kind of little by little disappearing and changing. And this is happening over here, and then, obviously this year we're kind of in a huge nutshell right now. So.
Right. What advice would you give a new person that wants to get into liquidation? After all your lessons in this, what advice would you give somebody who wants to join the liquidation field?
I'm actually coaching, not really coaching, but helping somebody out that's getting into it. And then actually my daughter was reaching out to me because she just did 2 Whatnot shows. And even though she's in the medical field, she was jumping into that. So, just try to, just see what it's like. I would say the biggest thing is if somebody came to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about getting into this. All right, well, what is it that you want to sell? Like, what do you know about? Like, what are the things that you...
Uh-oh,
Is
he
that
cut
me?
out. No, that wasn't you.
He'll be right back. Yeah, I remember watching his videos, man. I watched his videos about he kind of like turned me on to like temporary leasing and stuff like that. So, he had this big dramatic like, oh, we're getting booted out, and he had tons of inventory in his warehouse, man. He was. I think the model was successful, but it's short term, right? And that's why, man, I just don't know. Would I open a liquidation store? No, I wouldn't. I did it. Been there, 110,000 square feet. Would I open another pallet warehouse? Absolutely. Would I open another bin store? Absolutely. Not the liquidation store. So, it's, I thought it was the right concept. Maybe I just didn't run it right. Maybe, I admit that the fault lies here, nowhere else, that store failed. But it's tough. Retail's tough. Retail's tough. There he is.
Hey, you warned me about that, but I didn't listen.
You got
I put it on airplane mode and I put my Wi-Fi on, so I guess that would be like my first recommendation. And if you're really on a podcast, to follow the rules. So, all right, so enough of the fun and games here. So I guess I can get back to where I was at.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think my question was, what would you, if somebody knew you were talking about your daughter doing some whatnot, what would you recommend to somebody new in the business?
So obviously, in the very beginning, my problem was space. My problem was organization, and a system, right? So get a system down. Make sure that you're not spending all your money on inventory. Make sure that you have all the tools that are needed to succeed. A lot of times people get into this and they think that they can just print a piece of paper for the label, the shipping label, if they're going to be doing, selling online. That's not the case. You got to get yourself a thermal printer, and you got to be able to, when you start getting these orders, and you not have things bottlenecking your operation. So the biggest thing for me is start off with your operation with all the tools that you need, organization. And then, watch some videos on YouTube. Definitely watching your videos would probably be the best because, I find a lot of information, on your videos that I can relate to. Especially, it's funny when you open that the world's largest bin store and did kind of the same thing I did. It was kind of funny how that story was a little bit similar. So. So you get a lot of pointers just by watching the videos. There are other people that I looked up to during this journey when I was doing the vintage. There's other YouTubers that have a huge following, a lot of best practices. And meeting people in person was a big thing for me. I met a couple of them and had a couple of talks about shop, and So that would be one thing. And then the biggest thing for me is stay when you're small, only scale up when you really 100% know that you have the money. You talk about the $200,000 investment. I can tell you right now, when I first started this, I tried to get an SBA loan for that much. I wasn't able to get it, and I feel like that was another setback that I had in the very beginning, not having that cash on hand to ramp up my operation. I think that was the biggest thing for me. Not to say that you should be borrowing money like that, but at that point, my trajectory proved the concept of the business. So I think that's the biggest thing, and staying small until you know for sure, and then when you jump into the next one, the next step, just make sure that you plan ahead for that.
Yeah. Does the SBA loan to liquidators?
At that point, when I got it, I actually had history, and since I invested pretty much 100% of the money I made the first 6 months to 8 months of my business, I was actually in a position where I could have done that. I did that, and because I had so much inventory on hand, and because I had so much sales history of being in, because I didn't get the SBA loan right away. You had to have your tenure of like I think it was like 3 years of history to prove that you're a viable business. And at that point, we were very viable. I mean, there was no reason why we would have been turned down for the larger amount that I asked for, but we just got a small chunk of it. So, which I invested 100% into the business at that point.
Right. Excellent. All right. So you wrap up your store, you close everything down, your lease is over. You got to pivot in life. Tell me a little bit. How do we get to BidSmooth?
So BidSmooth actually came part of my liquidation. I started building this software when I just determined that the only way that I was going to get this inventory moving, because I had a lot of the death piles, right? I had a lot of the inventory just sitting around, and that's one thing that you got to be careful. And back to before, I know I'm not trying to cross the conversation, but don't get death piles, guys. Don't do it. Get rid of your stuff before you get more. Otherwise, you're gonna pile up stuff. That it's gonna be harder to sell. So I was able to sell truckloads of inventory, but then there was that part of it where I couldn't open up my store and give all the categories that I needed to. So I felt like an auction platform was needed to keep my sales coming in, to keep my customers from thinking that they need to walk into my store every day. So we switched from open to the public to by appointment only. And part of that was that software that I made is to help me transition out of the retail side of it back into a warehouse. So that's what BidSmooth came in, because my idea was to turn back into an auction platform warehouse scenario and be by appointment only at the next stage. But then when I saw how well this software I created performed, I'm like, you know what? This is where it's at. This is what I need to do. I need to make this software available to either the smallest seller down, the person selling out of his garage that wants to track and manage his inventory and work on his marketplaces, all the way up to the people that are, hey, you know what? I'm running auction software right now. Some of this software doesn't meet my needs as an operator on the operation side of it is itself. And because I have a strong background in solutions and operational and inventory, I said, hey, you know what? There's nothing out there that does all of it, right? When that truckload comes in at the dock, there's no process from that time that truckload hits the dock to the time that your customer walks out the door with that inventory. So what I did was I actually created that process within a whole software. If that kind of explains it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what advantages does your software have over the other softwares in the business?
So I'll give you one example, and there's plenty of examples, but this is my favorite. Right now we have Lightspeed, right? Our POS is $360 a month, right? My software is actually going to have a POS system in it. It's all going to be integrated. So when that truck comes in, your recovery is going to be all in all the channels that you use. So let's say you want to be a store, right? Retail. Well, here's your POS. Here's your inventory management system. Here's your employee management. Here's your loyalty problem solved. Think about all those separate third-party apps that are out there and all those monthly fees that you're paying. Basically, what I did was I said, hey, what can I build that will take away as many of these subscriptions as I can? And that's basically where BidSmooth kind of evolved to. It started off as an auction platform, but then the aha moment came when I was scanning in drafts. eBay. I remember the days. 30 listings a day if you were lucky, right? My employee was doing 150 scans into draft in a 5-hour shift. And to me, okay, so how many employees did that just help me take off payroll?
Yeah.
Right. How many employees did I just hire by creating this software? And towards the end, when I only had just me and her, and two other people that were helping with the labor on my payroll, she was taking up a lot of multiple employees job duties with her one position that she had, and I had three of them, three employees that were doing that. So they were basically, in my opinion, 5 times in their output.
Wow. Is BidSmooth live right now? Are you selling the product?
So you know what, I've been still developing it because the problem is with this is you keep on thinking about all these pieces that you forgot to connect, right? So the last month, I mean, there was 2 days ago, I was up 22 hours writing. so the problem that I'm having is I'm running into myself as a problem because I want to just make it so good and connect all these dots. But right now, as it sits, it will run a retail operation. It'll run a warehouse operation. It will run if an individual seller just wants to manage their inventory, and basically cost their items in and have a whole inventory, snapshot at any time. It will do that. It will do the pickup process. It will do, if you want to either do it by appointment or if you want to do it by where they just walk in, you can scan the customer's QR code. It pops up the order. All that's working. So all that stuff's working. It's just I just haven't finalized the user experience, right? Because basically the way that I'm setting this up is you want to make sure that anybody can log into the system, and no matter how old they are or what their level of expertise with technology is, they need to be able to walk in and they need to be able to go right away. No little to little nothing training. So basically, if you picture, my employees that were college kids left my business, came back to help out. I had BidSmooth, running, and basically the customer experience that they were able to provide because they understood the software walking into it, because we were just by appointment only, and I didn't really have to train my college kids on how the process works. They knew every day, here's all the orders that were paid for. Here's all the orders we need to pick. Here's the customers that are on schedule when they show up. Here's their list of all the items we need to grab for them. This was all on the fly too. Like, I basically, when I came up with this process, it was all live building software while I was using it. So that's why this software is awesome, because not only did I build it, I used it while I was building it, and this isn't like some huge thing where I had 10 people at the round table trying to come up with the best ideas on how to make this. This was actually just one person, one brain, one operation, based on all the experience that I had with all the years in corporate. I actually have done go lives before with software implementation, so I knew from the beginning, what I was up against. And then it's literally just the industry knowledge that I gained since 2020 that I said, all right, if this was back in 2020 and you said, hey, Joedy, what do you need to succeed? Everything that BidSmooth has is what I would have answered.
Nice.
If that makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So you're coming out in the fall of 2026 with the software? Is that the plan?
That's the plan. I mean, technically, it's ready for test users right now, and I actually have a list of some people that are interested in using the software. I am going to also have the estate sales side of it. So if somebody's running estate sales, they're going to actually have a portion of it too. So I have one of those customers that's waiting to use my product. the biggest thing that I can say about the software is it starts with everything having a path, right? Your path starts at when the inventory comes in, and then you just choose how far extensive do you want the software to be with your operation. Do you want it to help you with your employee management? Do you want it to help you with your customer experience? Or you just want to just do the inventory management and the scanning? You can do that. My site, I apologize, it doesn't have everything up there. I'm actually working on updating that, and I'll have that later today. I'm gonna kind of revamp it and give a little bit more high level of what it does. But I can tell you right now, I'm very happy with it. And even though it hasn't launched yet, I think that it's mostly ready to go live. I just want to make sure that it's what people want. So
Right. And you're saying it can be used at all levels of the liquidation industry. It can be used by bin stores, liquidators, estate sales.
Well, it's the bin stores, they would probably be more POS related. They would be able to see their recovery on the truckload per truckload that they enter into. But the thing with that is, if they're not scanning in each individually item into the system, the recovery won't go to a certain level unless they maybe it would be something where they got multiple truckloads on the sales floor. They input all those in there, and then once all the quantities match up and all that, so that's something that needs to be fine-tuned with that. But it's going to get you pretty close. Definitely, it's going to get you pretty close on the bin store part of it. So
nice.
But then it's the multi-marketplace thing. So picture, your inventory comes in. It's like, all right, well, maybe this inventory isn't right for the bin stores. Maybe this inventory is right for e-commerce. Maybe it's right for to put it on a pallet and sell it as a pallet. You can direct it once it comes in. You can direct it to wherever it needs to go, if that makes sense.
Nice. So how does somebody get early access to the software?
Well, just on the website, there's that link. It says request early access. Basically, it shoots me an email. There's a blue button. If you scroll up a little bit, that button right there, there should be a form that pops up, and then just that goes right to my email. And then basically that I'm compiling a list. And then once I want to start kind of trickling people into the software to let them try it out, I am going to give a trial period. I could tell you right now, just based on what I was telling you about my POS, what I'm paying for the subscription, this software is going to give you the POS included and be much cheaper than what you're used to. So my goal is to give people the option of scaling up or being at any level that they want to be at and not paying based on that. So if you don't need all the features, you're not going to pay up for all the features. You're just going to select what you need, and we're going to give you a good price, and you're definitely going to save. You're going to definitely get rid of all these subscriptions that are not necessary. And then also the biggest thing is you're going to own it, right? So basically the software, it white labels. And I know a lot of people talk about the white label, this and that, but this is going to be something where you're going to own it. You're not going to have to worry about all these, I call them sucker punches when you sign up for a software. Next thing you know it, you got a carrot in front of you. Then you're paying per item, or you're paying per percentage of the sale to the platform. I don't agree with that. I've always been an advocate of value and not sucker punching consumers to get them to when they're using your product, not to nickel and dime everybody. So there's going to be tiers for the pricing. There's going to be limits because obviously everybody knows that the technology is changing with the way that we're being billed for our information. But what I am going to promise that the monthly is going to be very, very well priced, where you can literally jump into BidSmooth and save yourself right off the bat a tangible number that's going to be making you know that you made the right decision. So, and then plus, not to say that jobs are important, but I could tell you what I was saying about the round table. When you don't have everybody involved with the scenario, like with me with my BidSmooth software, you're dealing with me. You're dealing with somebody that's been through starting in my garage, going to a warehouse, going to retail, and then I have a lot of experience, so I can get on a call with somebody and I can really, they tell me about what they're doing, and I kind of already know what their business is like on their day to day, you know, when they wake up in the morning. I know what's important to them. So when you can get on a call with somebody right away and start that conversation and not have that roadblock on not understanding who you're actually talking to, your customer, what kind of customer you're talking to. I have every expert. Not, I haven't had a bin store, but like I shop at bin stores as as part of this whole thing. So I'm not going to know everything but I can tell you right now, I can tell you what your pain points are, and I can tell you that my software has resolved a lot of those. So, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, Joedy, we've been going a little over an hour now. So is there any other topics that you want to touch on before we get out of here today?
No, I'm cool. I think what I'm going to do is just see, we're going to put this out there, and then I'm going to see how many people go on the list. And, definitely, if I see traction, you got my attention, and I will do everything that I can to make it as robust as I can. You'll probably see me at, WHSL in the spring, and hopefully they'll let me, if this takes off, they'll let me have a table. And, obviously I don't think I can make ASD because it's kind of short notice, but I feel like that could be something in the future, and, it'd be something where you'll probably see a lot more of me. So that's cool. And, maybe a trip down the Lakeland too, to check out your museum might be cool.
There you go. Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime, Joedy. All right, Joedy, how do people get a hold of you if they want to reach out?
So, I mean, you can share my phone number. That's cool. It's probably better on the email, hello@BidSmooth. So HELLO@BidSmooth.com. Definitely fill out that form. That's probably the easiest way, because then that just kind of just stamps it. Obviously, I try to respond as much as I can, but, we are in the final development stages right now. So, when this comes out, I'm already on social media and stuff like that. I just really haven't been posting a lot, but I'll come up with some kind of live demos. I'll come up with some high levels, and definitely if anybody's interested, reach out. I think I figured out some pain points with this software, or a lot of pain points, and it's going to be very surprising to see once this kind of kicks off, what the feedback is with people just jumping in and just seeing it for the first time and kind of maneuvering the screens and just seeing really what it's doing. It's going to be kind of exciting. So, and I'll let you guys know. So maybe another call.
There you go. We'll bring you back on when you launch the software there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's bring Esteban back on the stage. Esteban, we got any questions today? I didn't see any pop up on this chat here.
No questions, but I've got one for Joedy. Talk to us about AI and how it affected you in the liquidation business, in the liquidation industry, I should say, and how did it benefit you and how did it hurt you?
I have a warning just right in the beginning. I want to let everybody know that, the technology is there, but you really got to understand it, right? So when I started building this, there was 80 days straight that I was building, 10 hours a day. Like I said, the other day I was up for 22 hours. You got to know how it actually integrates with what you're trying to do. You can't just assume that the AI is going to solve every problem, because I can tell you right now, there's a lot of softwares out there that are promising it will just do that, like with the vibe coding and all that. And I'm going to tell you right now, like that is not the reality. So AI is a very strong software. You just got to know the language, and you got to understand what you're trying to do with it. For me, it's been a game changer. Being able to use AI to solve pain points in the industry, and I feel that there's going to be a lot better technology breaks coming pretty soon with everybody kind of uncovering another layer that this AI can do for us. But as of right now, we are in a very good time of the industry with having the AI tool. If you would have talked to me in the very beginning in 2020 and said that this would be available, I would have laughed, and I would have said, from what I see, it's not. But I think that everybody just needs to be cautious, because the software that I built, a lot of people are going to probably say, yeah, I can build that. Well, I agree, you probably could. You need to know how to connect the dots. You need to understand the industry. You need to understand the workflows, and you also need money too, because I could tell you right now, this was not I pay my $20 a month subscription onto this AI program, and I built a software that allows me to have tenants in it. This is not one of those softwares. This is a very, very 300,000 plus lines of code. Connecting all the dots is the reality of that. And if you're into writing software, you'll know what I'm talking about for that. So, but yeah,
who wants to put 1,000 hours into work to develop your own software when it's out there in the marketplace? Who wants to do that? Nobody does.
You have to run your business. That's what pays your bills. Don't think that you're going to get in front of a computer and overnight, the next morning, you're going to wake up with a solution. Because like I said, the amount of time that I put into this, and obviously, go lives don't happen within a year, guys. That's not what happens. So for this to be able to happen like this, and the AI tools that I figured out, that's the strongest thing that I can say that why this happened is because I just everything kind of was able to be figured out as I was going. And then that's really not a risk that you want to do when you're trying to pay your bills. So
thank you, Joedy.
Joedy, thank you for coming on the
Sorry.
show today. I 100% appreciate you, man, coming to Liquidation Motivation Live. You got a great story. I mean, there's high points and low points, but I'm super happy. I hope you're successful with this BidSmooth. You're a great guy. I mean, I keep going back to the videos. I'm like, this guy's a good guy watching your videos, man, walking around your warehouse and like, oh, they're kicking me out. But now they didn't kick me out. And that was fun to watch. It was definitely fun to watch. So
yeah, it was a roller coaster. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to just tell it how it is, and you just got to be real, So
yeah, for sure, man, for sure. All right, Joedy, thanks for coming on once again. Guys, Liquidation Motivation Live is a wrap. Now go out there and make some money.
See you guys.